What is up, everybody? It is Thursday. You know what that means. We are back at it again. Ryan and Joey, your allies behind enemy lines. A couple Redskins fans, a couple Washington football fans coming to you thoroughly behind enemy lines, bringing you up to date on the latest news, notes, all that good stuff. It's been a quite interesting week here around the Washington football team, Joey. Things are moving along quite well.
And they are moving along well. I'm getting so excited about this upcoming football season, and it's looking more and more like we're going to have one, which is the most exciting part. But also, it looks like our team is making some good moves here. So I'm excited to see them come together on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Everything been going good, all right with you? Let's get a quick check in. Everything's good.
Everything's good. Back to work. School's on, so I'm in the mode.
Yeah, right, right. But yeah, so we'll start things right off. Redskins made a great hire in bringing in a new president, Jason Wright, former NFL running back, but more so kind of made his, earned his chops out off the field. Quick little background on Jason Wright. He played football at Northwestern, so he's got to be a smart guy. Only in the league about 6 years, bounced around from Atlanta to the Browns to the Cardinals. But like I said, he really made some big moves off the field. After he finished up his playing career, he returned back to Chicago, went and got his master's degree in business administration at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. And then from there, just kind of moved on, was doing a lot of stuff. Was a managing consultant for McKinsey & Company, big management firm. And then he was also a trustee at the Union Theological Seminary. So a good man of faith there. Obviously, like I said, very well versed in handling big business. And I think this was a great hire for the Redskins, the Washington Redskins, or I tried to correct it, and I still said the Washington football team. So it's probably gonna take up until the year, next year when we change the name once again. The Washington football team. Another great move here, kind of continuing things in the right direction of getting this culture change and getting things turned around here. And like I said, this hire definitely did that.
Yes, it did. And I think I talked to you a little bit about, he was on Good Morning Football yesterday, on the NFL Network, and they interviewed him, and the way he spoke, and you can just tell this guy, he's doing it right. He talked about it, working in Washington, I guess, for a while, and working with similar type, companies that were, he said he was crossing lines a lot with Daniel Snyder, so he thought a marriage with Washington was inevitable, and that's a good, partnership they had going into this. So it wasn't like he just came out of nowhere. I guess they've had dealings in the past of some sort. And just listening to him talk, and and about the diversity and rebranding this culture and the things he wants to do, it's really inspiring. After listening to him talk, I think I even tweeted out. It said, "No, just not our team president. I wouldn't mind voting this guy for president." I mean, just to hear him talk, he sounded so well versed and down to earth. One of the things he said is, "I don't want." A lot of people are coming at me about the name, because just because I'm a brother doesn't mean it's going to be red tails out the gate. So so he's a really down to earth guy and very, very knowledgeable, and seems committed to really changing this team and this franchise around.
Yeah, and people that have worked with him as well, they've said nothing but great things about him. So when your peers kind of back you up and are there to say, not only congratulate you, but say, hey, look, Washington, you did a great job and you made the right move hiring this guy. That makes me feel great about it. Like you said, the way he speaks, like his passion and just kind of the emotion behind his words, you can tell that he wants to come in here and do a great job. And I think we could all agree, this was probably this was a great hire. We'll see how great it was, but anybody other than Bruce Allen would have been perfectly fine as well. We would have been great getting out of that shadow.
It's just a breath of fresh air to hear somebody talk that not only when they make statements, they support their statements. And just listening to him tell a lot of people.
Not bullshit.
It's not bullshit. And he's talking about, I thought he got thrown on the spot, I believe, by who threw him on the spot there? Nate Burleson threw him on the spot. They're asking him, you're the first, black, the first black president, in the NFL, and it's the country and the movement of getting people more like this into more prominent positions is how do you feel about being on the forefront of that? And his response to that was so interesting, just talking about if he just said as a person, if you, or as an organization, if you really think that talent is equally distributed across all types of different people, races, backgrounds, or whatever, and you don't have a diverse team, then you're not evaluating talent properly. Because if you really think that talent is equally divided amongst people, then you're not getting an outsider's perspective. And he made a statement like that and then supported it with like just empirically supported by, if any discussion group or research group adds 2 women onto the course, the results have been empirically proven to be better. So the more different, diverse type of leaders or people you're going to bring into a situation. Now you can talk about, bringing in Ron Rivera. Now we have, an African-American, president. Again, there's a lot of different people that are working here from different perspectives, different backgrounds that are going to help us make the best possible decisions when it comes to how this culture and how this franchise is presented.
Yeah, another great moment from that interview when he was on Good Morning Football was, they I think it was along the same lines as that question of Nate Burleson saying, did you only get this job because you were black? Mm-hmm. And he was like, stated his resume was like, if you've done this, you've done this, and you're white, and the only reason I got this job was because I'm black. Well, then I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like he laid it out pretty much saying like, look, it's not just because I'm African American that I got this. Like my resume speaks for itself of what I've done and what what I've accomplished in my life. So he's like, it was just funny the way he put it, because it was like he just kind of just whipped it out and put it on the table and said, hey, look, I qualify for this job. I'm the right man for this job. Just looking at my resume, not looking at anything else.
Exactly. And I mean, and when you put somebody like that in the position, and looking at his background, you can see that he's only been around things to make things better. The things he'd worked with, he's not going to associate with himself with a crashing ship, as some people think that our franchise is, having Daniel Snyder at the helm. And Daniel, and he talked about the culture he was coming into, all the obviously the name change, but he also talked about all the controversy surrounding the sexual harassment charges and whatnot within the organization, and how I didn't know this until he had said it, that Daniel Snyder or whoever had hired an external investigator to come in and really look at what they're doing there, and by saying, and he said this that. By doing that, just shows his commitment to having the right type of, to make sure that we're holding the leaders within the organization accountable for proper behavior in a business environment. So it just shows that everything, it looks like, is moving in the proper direction on how you run a franchise properly.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know there was a little like doo-doo about that whole Daniel Snyder thing, because the guy he hired is kind of like one of his buddies. Like he's kind of worked with him before type thing. So people were like, yeah, Daniel Snyder's hiring somebody to come look at it, but how close are they really going to look at it? Hopefully, we're hoping for the best, and that we're going to get an honest investigation and really a good review from an external source. But the other thing too about hiring a guy like Jason Wright, where he's been successful, he's been a hard worker. He's, like you said, from where he's been, he's only come from good things. This is a new challenge for him. He's never worked in the NFL in the front office before. He's obviously the first African-American president of a football team. So that's going to fuel his fire and his hunger to make sure that he is successful again here. He does a great job again here, because, as unfair as it might be, it's kind of like there's a lot of pressure on him for other African-American executives. You know what I mean? Because if he fails, then right or wrong, people are going to kind of take a step back. It's inevitable. So there's a lot of pressure on him here as well to do well, and obviously we're rooting for him to do the best. But like I said, the fact that he's been successful to where, everywhere he's been a hard worker. He's built things up already. I think this is going to be a great fit. Just new faces all around this franchise, and all hungry faces that have something to prove and want to prove something. I mean, I couldn't be happier with this hire. And I'm not going to act like I knew who this guy was coming in, because I didn't. You know what I mean? I didn't know anything about him. But just now that you've done some research and seen, some of his background, and like I said, people talking him up, I'm stoked for it. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see the job he does.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of the last piece, I should say, that we were lacking as far as our front office. We have a great coach and running player personnel and everything, that, like he said in the interview, on the field is Ron Rivera. Everything off the field is going to be him. Both of them reporting directly to Dan Snyder. So I think having that parallel relationship is really going to it's going to really bring out the best in both of them, and empower them to be the leaders that they can be in their discipline. So I'm excited to see how it comes out. It looks like we just got to get it done on the field now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all the pieces are falling into place to really turn things around and get things headed where we want it to be. And I mean, it seems like every week since we've been doing this, it's another piece of the puzzle, and it's all in theory, and the optics of it right now, we got to head in the right direction. And so now it's just fitting those pieces together and putting that puzzle together and make sure it makes a beautiful picture.
Yes, the beautiful picture, which could be winning the NFC East to start with. That's what I'll start with right there. So, great job, Dan Snyder and the Washington organization on getting this one right. And let's continue to get victories that we can, and let that translate onto the field.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So another victory off the field that's going to be translating to on the field. Alex Smith. We saw that a couple weeks ago he was cleared by his own doctors to resume football activities. Wasn't cleared by Washington football team doctors just yet. Well, earlier this week he was cleared to resume football activities and begins the journey of making a comeback. And I'm sure his goal is to suit up again and play in an NFL football game.
Oh, he did not come back just to go onto the practice field, and to watch him, I think they had footage of him putting on that helmet for the first time and running out there, and just, it's a great story. It's one of those stories. It's like, I think it was Adrian Peterson said, I think it was this morning or yesterday. It's like nobody has an excuse now. Nobody, as someone like Alex Smith, when all the surgeries he went to, all the setbacks, almost losing his leg, having to look, setting goals so far in the future that he was working towards. To be able to accomplish that in itself is a big thing. So nobody has an excuse. But now he's hungry. He wants to, it's just, his story is still going. His story is not over. He wants to get on that field and show that he can still perform at a high level and help a team win games, And so I'm excited to see what it does for the quarterback room and excited for Alex Smith. It's just it's an amazing story.
Yeah, no, it really is. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's gotten back to this point. You just even being able to suit up and get on the practice field, I think, is a huge goal in and of itself. What are your expectations for Alex Smith going forward? Maybe not even with the Washington organization, but just as in football in general.
I think obviously he naturally is going to take on that mentorship role in any quarterback room. He's going to sit in. And if he doesn't get the chance to start this year, if Dwayne Haskins comes out and performs the way that we all think he can, and he's just there to support him on that and be somebody that's a strong mentor, I could see him easily, come, first injury, first COVID hit. You see trade talk start coming up for someone like Alex Smith to go and really, take somebody else's team. So I see him, being able to start somewhere here in the near future. I mean, as long as he doesn't have any setbacks physically, I think, mentally he's prepared. And anyone knows that's watched Alex Smith over the last, 10 plus years of him being in, was it 15 plus years almost now? It's been a long time since he's been in the NFL, but knows that he's going to go out there and he's going to give you everything he has, and he's going to perform, and he's going to be prepared. So I think that Alex Smith does bring a great dynamic to that win. It's going to push Dwayne Haskins to be that much more, much better, more productive on the field to hold on to that position. But at the same time, it's going to drive Alex Smith to want to be better, to make the team better. So it's going to, I see him possibly, you never know what's going to happen in this year on this team, but he's going to get a chance somewhere.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I would feel comfortable with Alex Smith playing a down of football for the Washington football team in an actual game. That leg still doesn't look super strong to me. We saw that video of him getting sprayed with champagne. It's still, he has to wear that leg sleeve just to avoid any extra germs or any bacteria getting in it to avoid further infection like he went through. It's a great story. Like I said before, the fact that he can even suit up and be on the practice field and he's taking reps. I mean, he's dropping back and staying on that back leg. I mean, that's awesome. That's great. But I just don't know how comfortable I feel with him taking live shots and taking live hits from guys. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I barely passed biology. You know what I mean? Like but just looking and seeing it, I'm rooting for the guy. I hope he is able to find a way back onto the field and get live NFL action. If that's his goal, that's what I want him to accomplish. I just don't know how comfortable I would feel with him dropping back and throwing passes for the Washington football team. If he's in that mentor position and kind of takes on that role for Dwayne Haskins and Kyle Allen, I'd love it. But just knowing, like, from what I've read, what I've seen, is that he's a killer and he wants to get back on that field and he wants to be a starter again. He's not, like you said, he's not coming back just to hold the clipboard and just to stay on the sidelines. Like, he wants to be back in it. I just don't know that I want him to see suited up in the burgundy and gold doing it. Like I said, mentor, help Dwayne Haskins and Kyle Allen grow as football players. Awesome. But shoot, I don't know about taking live snaps in a game.
And I think that he's earned that opportunity to at least give it a shot. And I'm a person of taking the chance, let it go. You never know until you try. And someone that's worked as hard as he has, I'm not going to hand that chance out to anybody. It's got to earn that chance. But I think he has earned that opportunity to prove to himself and to other people that he can still do it. I'm not going to say I feel comfortable. I mean, I remember when Adrian Peterson came off. I mean, I know it's a different injury, but when he came off his ACL tear, I didn't feel comfortable with him in the NFL. And he goes out there and gets all those yards that year, and so it's people have proven us wrong before. And I think that, we as, just not knowing how he's feeling inside him, only he knows, I guess, how he feels. We just got to trust in someone like that that's going to make the right decision for themselves, that he can go out there and feels comfortable enough to take those snaps, as we say, and that it's his head and not his heart making those decisions. And if his head is truly making that decision, he feels he can do it, I say he's earned the chance to get that shot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't disagree with that at all. I 1,000% can't disagree with that statement or that idea at all. But like I said, just personally, it makes me a little nervous. Makes me a little like, because you don't want to see it happen again, and that's what I'm afraid would happen, was that it would do it again. I mean, I know he's got tons of rods and screws and things, and it's not just bone in that leg anymore. It's kind of like a bionic leg, but still, I mean, I just feel like, and he's 36 years old. He's still got a couple years left in the tank, I think. But it's just like I say, it makes me a little nervous. That's all. little nervous.
Well, if you aren't nervous being a Redskin fan watching every game, or a Washington fan, then you're not a Washington fan. So I think
that's true. Hey, good point.
I think we're used to being nervous every time our quarterbacks drop back. Usually it's for an interception or a sack, but now we're just going to have to add in the extra layer of
a snapped leg.
Of a snapped leg. And I think, I mean, I'm sure that his doctors and the team doctors have made him very aware of the risks he will be taking. I don't think anyone's going to, mask that or disguise that. And he's a smart enough guy to know that. So, again, I think that if his head tells him he can do it, I think he's earned that chance.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. And like I said, if the doctors cleared him, then shoot, who am I to question that? You know what I'm saying? Moving on, if Alex Smith does end up suiting up and getting into a game for the Washington football team, and he does it at home, he's going to be doing it in front of an empty stadium. Last week, the Washington football team organization announced that should everything go as planned and we're playing games, that they're not going to allow any fans in the stadium at all, which is going to be weird. Because even with the sparse crowd that a lot of these losing teams have drawn, when the team's playing well, that place can get rocking. It's no RFK where the stadium would be rocking and moving. But we've seen it firsthand where things got pretty exciting and lively in that stadium. We talked about it last week a little bit. But so they're just not going to allow anybody, and depending on how the season goes, that might end up being a good thing for the Washington football team. I think we're past those days of seeing 75% of opposing fans, but it's a big deal. It's going to be weird to see in this massive stadium, and it's going to be completely empty.
It's funny when the news did break. I think I tweeted it out there that I was like, somebody must have told the Washington or Redskins at the time fans that years ago, because the home team stopped coming to the games years ago. So they must have got that tweet or that text a little early. But, I don't think it's going to, as you just said, it's been a long time since we've had that really strong vibe for to really push that team in that stadium. It's usually the other team's vibe that's really shining through, and you hear in those situations. So I don't think it's going to affect them as much as we might think it is as far as on the field. And it might be a breath of fresh air to be able to just have your team. I mean, it's going to be a lot different, I think, than a baseball or basketball, because you do have that whole sideline, that's kind of like masking you from the crowd. In basketball, you have a couple guys in some chairs. Baseball, they're down there in a dugout. So you still have that kind of vibe on the sidelines as you're running. You have your players, your teammates cheering you on and whatnot. So it's going to be a little bit different than it would be in the baseball and the basketball for those that have watched it. But I mean, I think it's safety first. I think it's a smart decision. These players are putting their health and their family's health at risk to go out there and put a product on the field that we can all watch and entertain. So anyone that would be opposed to that, and realize that, in listening to our new team president talk, Mr. Wright, that safety COVID is his number one priority, and that's to make sure that they're maintaining all the the league's standards and regulations and the safety of their players. So I mean, that's just a leader for you right there. Make sure he's taking care of safety first, and that, and I truly believe that it's the great call. And I think that, if it's safe for fans to come back in, those stands will be rocking as soon as they can be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it is probably a smarter decision just to go no fans to start off with, and then if you are able to maybe go to 25%, 50%, 75%, that's great. What you don't want is say, all right, we're going to go at 50% capacity and then have to pull it back because people are either getting infected or whatever. So I don't hate the idea. What would you think about team, because like the Cowboys, they mentioned that they're going to be at 25%. You got to wear a face mask, things like that. But for teams like the Washington football team, what would you say about them just like playing their games in the practice bubble? Like, what I mean, rather than going out and playing in this massive stadium with like 75,000 open seats, just going and playing in the practice bubble and playing their game there. It's, because I think we've seen the NBA bubble, how the games that they play there, like it still feels like real basketball. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have the virtual fans, but like the enclosed setting and them not playing in front of 20,000 empty seats kind of gives it a better feeling. Whereas like the baseball games, it's kind of weird. The only one that isn't really weird is Toronto, and that's because they're playing at a minor league stadium, and those are kind of built to be half empty already. so that's the only one that really doesn't feel odd. That was just kind of an idea that I thought, any team that isn't playing in their stadium and isn't allowing any teams that are not allowing fans, rather than playing in their stadium, go play in the practice bubble.
But the bubble is good, but I think when you get that many players in the bubble when it comes to football, you're already talking about 106 guys of just players. Not to mention coaching staff. So I think the outside appeal of having no roof and no enclosing might be a little bit more safety friendly. But I totally get what you're saying as far as vibe. It would get more of like an arena football type vibe in there, with the closed quarters and whatnot. But I think that either way, I mean, that could be a way. I guess it would probably need some proper ventilation just to make people feel safe. But I think that might become the only issue with something like that. But I could see that possibly happening, because the weathering conditions there. I think their weather was actually raining today or yesterday, and they're out there practicing in the rain. So maybe they're practicing to go outside. We don't know how it's going to look.
Yeah, and plus I'm sure whatever playing surface is in their practice bubble has to be better than what it is at FedEx Field. So there's another variable you can throw in there, and
the opposing teams got to play on the same field, so it's it could be to our benefit, it could be to our detriment, but we'll see. We'll just see how they go about it. I think the bubble games. I mean, I think Dallas probably has the best bubble, I guess, in the entire NFL. But I don't see them playing in the bubble. It's funny thing is, for all those wrestling fans out there, if you don't know I'm a wrestling fan, this Friday and this coming weekend, the wrestling's putting on their pay-per-view and then SmackDown, which is on Fox. So if you want to tune in and see that, they're having this whole virtual Thunderdome experience in a new stadium in Florida. And it's supposed to be the cutting edge of what it's going to look like to have virtual fans in the stadium. So I'm interested to see how that might look and to see if sports might see that and then maybe mimic that, because we still have a couple of weeks. I know it took a week for them to set up this stadium or this arena that they're putting this on. So interesting to see if the NFL takes some notes on that, because I think, one thing that people can say is wrestling never stopped. Wrestling never stopped during this whole thing. They took fans out of there, had empty arena matches. They slowly started integrating, wrestlers that are on the card to come be the fans. And they've really done a lot of, they haven't had any shutdown shows, this entire time. So they have been doing some things right. And so I think, something like that, just a different experience than just an empty arena might be in the works for a lot of these teams. So it'd be interesting to see if they start to include some of that in the NFL and, possibly the NBA, hockey, and baseball as well.
Yeah, no doubt. See, I think the only hiccup that they might hit with the virtual fans is, the stadiums that are outdoors, because it would be hard to like set up. I'm interested to see how they do it with the WWE, because obviously the way the NBA's done it is they just have a giant screen behind, on the side of the court, and that's how they've been doing it. So I don't know, are they doing like holograms, like a Tupac hologram, or what?
The way it looked like, all I saw was equipment, and it was a shit ton. Pardon my French, a shit ton of equipment out there. But it had pyrotechnics, all kinds of things to add to this experience to make it a more exciting experience for the people that are not only watching it, but the people in the ring to feel that as well. So
yeah.
I mean, it's going to be on tomorrow night, Friday night. So I'm going to be interested to see. And then they do have cards on Saturday and Sunday, so it's going to be. I'm sure they'll get better each day all the way till Monday with this. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward if any other sports watch this and mimic that, because it could be it could be the future. We don't know how long this is going to be, so it's one of those things that, is, not to get off into too far of a tangent, but that, are we really waiting to go back to normal, or are we adjusting our new normal to suit us? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are you waiting for something to happen, or you're making a suit of what you have make happen, and it sounds like, you can make it better in some sort, that anything, just in case anything like this, if we do go back to quote unquote normal, anything like this happens again, we already have a blueprint of how to handle it. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. You're 100% right there. It'll be interesting to see for sure. But for now, Washington will be playing in front of at least 8 of their games. If we can get through the whole 16-week season, they'll be playing in front of empty empty
10.
stadium without.
I'm thinking 10 fans. Of them. I'm thinking 10 games.
Oh, I like the way you think. Playoff games, baby.
Playoff games, baby. No fans at the stadium. How sad would that be? The 1 year the Washington goes to the playoffs, of all the years we've been going to games, and we can't go to a Washington.
It would be so fitting, though. It would be so fitting. Like, it was just like, yeah, of course. You know what I mean? But yeah. So one of the opponents that the Washington football team will be facing twice this season. It will be the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, will be the Dallas Cowboys. We mentioned them earlier. They're going to have 25% capacity. I believe it's either 25 or 50. I want to say it was 25% capacity with face coverings and things like that. But one of their big free agent signings that we mentioned last week is a Cowboy no more. Gerald McCoy goes down. He tears a quad tendon, and he's going to have to get surgery. He's done for the year. So the Cowboys released him. You know what I mean? They used the injury waiver, much like we've seen it tons and tons of times before. But don't feel too sorry for Gerald McCoy. He got a nice $3 million signing bonus. So he gets to keep that. His contract was 3 years, $18 million, and he was supposed to be a big piece of that D line for the Cowboys. We talked about him last week with Everson Griffin now coming over, obviously DeMarcus Lawrence, and then Gerald McCoy. They were going to have a mean threesome there on the defensive line, and Malik Collins, he's still coming back. So that was going to be like their defense right there. They're going to hopefully have a front seven to kind of make up for their secondary. But now a big piece goes down, and like I said, he's not going to be in the navy blue and silver, or whatever the color that is, navy blue and like aqua sometimes, depending on their pants. He's not going to be suiting up for them this season.
Did they pick up Dontari Poe as well?
They did pick up Dontari Poe as well, yes. So I mean, he's good. Yeah, he's good. He's kind of, I feel like he's almost like, he was always good because he's just like a big dude, but he's kind of getting to that point where it's like, how big is he gonna get type deal?
Yeah, we're gonna have ourselves just a refrigerator Perry down there. I guess that his size isn't even comparable anymore. But just compared to the rest of the size of defensive lineman, yeah, he's a big boy. But didn't they also get who was it from the 49ers they got who was on Aldon Smith? Is that am I?
Yep. They did sign Aldon Smith. Yeah, like I said, they invested a lot of money into their defensive line and their front seven. It's weird that they didn't invest any in their secondary because they've needed that for like 5 years straight now. But that's another guy.
I was so worried they were going to get Jamal Adams. That was, every Cowboys fan was just sitting there looking, it was two of them I thought, they were really big out there. Darius Slay and Jamal Adams I thought might have a chance of making their way down there to Dallas, especially with Byron Jones leaving out. But they did not address it, in my opinion, very well. They're kind of going all in on that front, seven. And I think that's what we did last year. And it didn't turn out very well for us because if you don't get to the ball, you're not gonna. Your secondary is not gonna. You're gonna see what's his name running around with Mason Foster with his hands in the air, and our boy, what was his name last year, Reed Doughty. Even though it wasn't him, Reed Doughty-ish type behavior from our secondary, always a step behind. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it affects that core defense, and having DeMarcus Lawrence and Everson Griffin is kind of scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but it absolutely is.
But taking Gerald McCoy out of that piece is really going to affect that defense. I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, because even though they are going to have some guys up the middle, and I was trying to look it up right now. I don't know if Aldon Smith has been activated to where he can actually come back and play. I was still trying to check that out, but the fact that they're not going to have Gerald McCoy up the middle, you can put a little more focus on the ends, and either use a tight end to chip block one of those ends, or maybe just a straight up double team with a guard and a tackle, and let try to let let the center take one of the defensive tackles, one of the three techniques there. But I mean, you don't want to see a guy get hurt. Gerald McCoy, he had a nice career with the Bucks, had a nice little comeback with the Panthers, and he got some decent money here with the Cowboys, and then he goes down second or third week, and it's just a weird freak accident. I don't know if you
Second
saw
or
the
third
video.
practice, I think.
Yeah, they're just running like a simple offensive lineman drill, and I'm not quite sure what happened. Like he literally just like kind of stepped back and then he fell because they were running. He was pretending to be an offensive lineman with another defensive end or defensive tackle for the Cowboys. And the guy just kind of puts a hand in his chest. I don't know if they're warming up or just running a drill. Wasn't aggressive, wasn't anything malicious. And that thing just went snap, crackle, pop. And his quad tendon tore. He fell on the ground immediately. And that was the end of it. That was the last we saw of Gerald McCoy in the Cowboys uniform.
And it might be the last we see of him in the NFL, because that quad injury has been career ending for a lot of people. And it's a torturous, especially with the size that he is. Rehab, so if he makes it back, it'll be another great story. Obviously, we don't like to see anybody of any team go down like this and take away their passion, but it's going to be a long haul for Gerald McCoy, and we'll see it. Hopefully he gets through that and come back and produce for some team out there. But another hole on that team.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, don't like to see anybody get hurt, but we'd love to see holes in the Cowboys defense, so we'll take it.
Turn that sucker into Swiss cheese somehow.
Exactly. Yeah, we need all the holes we can get our running game going through the middle there. So yeah, like I said, tough look for the Cowboys, tough for Gerald McCoy. You're not rooting for anybody to get injured, but I'm not going to be totally upset either. So yeah, moving on. Go ahead.
I was going to say I might send him a card, but I won't send him any candy.
A get well soon, but not too soon card.
Exactly.
So one last thing, we were a couple of little news and notes here. We have so as I don't know if anybody knows, but Joey from El Paso, Texas, shout out. We have their UTEP Miners, their quarterback that just graduated. He came in and he's a camp arm for us right now. So just kind of something cool, a little personal connection there. EPT, the 915, represent. Yes. And and
Chuco
so
Town.
He's in, yeah. So he is in there just throwing some balls, getting some looks there with the Washington football team.
Yeah, I saw, I've been watching some, practice, highlights here on NFL Network and whatnot. And you see, every time he came back, he was talking to Alex Smith. So it seems like he was getting, again, Alex Smith in that mentorship role. I'm sure, having that camp arm there, he's just gaining a wealth of experience to be able to be there. Somebody like Alex Smith, who not only has the knowledge, but is willing to share it with him. So I'm so excited to see what he might do. You never know, without preseason, it really kills the opportunity for a lot of these long shots to go out there and, show what they can do on the field. So, and with Alex Smith back, I'm sad to say he probably is just a camp arm. I don't see them carrying 4 quarterbacks, or maybe
no,
and not even on the practice squad either. So it's probably a good experience for him. Shout out, I'm glad an El Paso guy made it to the Redskins, but or Washington football team. but I guess a camp arm there, Mr. Montez.
Yeah, Steven Montez Del Valle. He's a big dude, 6'4". Ran a 4.68 in the 40 at the combine. But like I said, just a cool little personal note there, a little personal connection from the EPT all the way out to DC. Last thing here is we got a little tight end battle going on. Marcus Baugh, undrafted free agent out of Ohio State. Great size, 6'4", 245. Played with Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State. Like I said, he went undrafted, but he's getting some good looks here with the Washington football team, getting some run in training camp. And obviously, we don't have preseason to see this guy in live action, but he has some chemistry there with Dwayne Haskins. Obviously, we've said this time and time again. I know on the old iteration of Ally Behind Enemy Lines, before we drafted all these Alabama guys, we literally made the joke of we should just draft all the Alabama guys, and literally that's what we did. So if you draft these guys coming out of big time colleges, like they got good coaching, like that guy got good coaching under Urban Meyer, under Ryan. What's the Ohio State's coach name? Ryan starts with a D. Davis, something like that. I don't know. I'll have to go look it up. But anyway, he got good coaching there. So it's like, hey, might as well give this guy a chance. Like I said, and there is some chemistry there with Dwayne Haskins.
And we know how that chemistry worked out with an unknown guy named Mr. Terry McLaurin last year, who came into the league. I had no idea who he was. I think you had no idea what he was till he started be calling Scary Terry, Touchdown Terry. And so we add on another piece there with Mr. Baugh, someone that was on that same team. And again, I'm sure Dwayne Haskins had a lot of, say, and this guy coming in and the connection he probably had with them. And not to say that they just didn't accept his word. He had to produce on the field. And from what I've heard, he's been taking second reps as far as the second tight end in practice behind Logan Thomas. So right out the bat, he's already jumped Richard Rodgers and Jeremy Sprinkle and Thaddeus Moss. So again, we're probably going to see Jeremy Sprinkle or Thaddeus Moss, as they say, on the chopping block. So we know we have big hopes for Thaddeus Moss. We know Jeremy Sprinkle has proven to be a really good run blocker in short situations, and we know Thaddeus Moss is not a run blocker, so it's probably going to come down to what we need at that time.
Yeah, no doubt. Ryan Day, head coach of Ohio State. Ryan Day. Okay. I knew I was close to the Davis. But yeah, no. So actually, Ron Rivera already has brought Baugh up in a press conference. Was very encouraged with what he had seen so far from both Marcus Baugh and Logan Thomas. So it'll be interesting to see where those guys line up. Like you said, yeah, we obviously have three tight ends on the chopping block or on the bubble. Very, very rare that you carry more than three unless you use one as a fullback, and we don't have a fullback on the roster. We're not. I doubt we're going to run too much, I formation or heavy packages, unless we're at the goal line, and even that, obviously that was the John Gruden iteration, or excuse me, the Jay Gruden iteration, but we used Ryan Anderson as our fullback. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. We're obviously both rooting on Thaddeus Moss. Hopefully he we're interested to see what he can do. And again, a good athletic guy that produced at a big time college and, in a big time offense. So, there's another guy there, but, yeah, we'll see. A name to keep an eye on is Marcus Baugh. See where he lands with this Washington football team, come week 1.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's very discouraging to see, Thaddeus Moss in those 40 numbers at tight ends. We think we talked about that before. We know Jeremy Sprinkle already got him an 80. So he can definitely, if he takes his spot, he's probably going to take his number as well. But, yeah, it's not carrying a fullback. I've thought about that so many times, how much better it would suit Adrian Peterson better to have a fullback, I think, the kind of power runner he is, to get that extra push. Yeah. But our offense has never been designed for a running back like Adrian Peterson. It's like we always just kind of just brought him in and say, all right, you play until we get somebody else younger to kind of fill in for you. And nobody's ever been able to do that. So we've had Adrian Peterson the whole time. So I kind of challenge that notion. If we are really going with Adrian Peterson as our guy, which it looks like we are, I would like to see them carry one of those tight ends, even Jeremy Sprinkle, or I guess Ryan Anderson knows how to do it as well, as some kind of fullback for Adrian Peterson, and not just on the goal line or in short situations, but in designed running plays. And if you get a tight end like Jeremy Sprinkle or Thaddeus Moss, probably not Thaddeus Moss, he's not that good of a blocker, to play fullback, not to mention the play action you can do and hit that fullback on some passing plays. So I think it will just add another dimension to our offense. Again, I don't know what's planned. We haven't seen them on the field and anything. I don't know what the plan is going to look like, but we're definitely not going to carry 4 tight ends. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. It's going off the whole fullback thing. Even the fullback position is kind of transformed a little bit. You think of Anthony Sherman over in Kansas City, Danny Vitale in New England. Like there's still like the hard nose, like going to run you over. But they're also expected to catch the ball. You know what I mean? Like they'll catch the ball out of the backfield. There's I'm leaving a couple guys off the list, but there's it's not
Kyle Juszczyk, Patrick DeMarco.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect examples there. Yeah, like they're you're gonna block down at the goal line. You're gonna put your helmet on someone else's, but then shoot, if we're looking your way, you better make this catch. You know what I mean? So that position's kind of evolving there a little bit. But yeah, I think Thaddeus Moss is a little too small. As far as just size. He's
Mm-hmm.
obviously a massive dude, but just as
Mm-hmm.
far as like the guy that you want to be a fullback, I don't think that really suits him. Jeremy
The guy you want
Sprinkle,
to take
he's
on the guy you want to take on Demarcus Lawrence or Everson Griffin coming off the edge.
exactly. So yeah, I don't think anybody that we have on the roster right now would suit that spot. But we'll see. But yeah, like I said, Marcus Bodgers and I are named to keep an eye on, and that tight end spot, something we mentioned last week in last week's episode of a position that there's some question marks, but also there's a lot of options there as well.
Yeah, so hopefully, with that, sometimes, the cream will rise to the top, some kind of battle like that. And it sounds like Logan Thomas and Baugh, what's his name? Gerald Baugh is gonna
Marcus.
take with. Why is it Gerald? Gerald McCoy, I guess. Gerald McCoy. Marcus Baugh. Gerald Baugh, whoever you are out there, I'm sorry for saying you're on the team. But yeah, Marcus Baugh, I mean, again, the other question mark, going in there is the backfield as a whole, as we talk about the running game. But, having some people like that are showing progression is, I think, is a very inspires hope as far as that question mark we were talking about. To see guys like Logan Thomas, former quarterback, and an undrafted free agent to really rise to the top, is good to hear.
Yeah, no doubt. And going off one more quick thing, going off the Washington football team tight ends, Jordan Reed. Nice little reunion with Kyle Shanahan about 2 weeks ago. We forgot to mention, he went over and signed with San Francisco. Obviously, they got a pretty good tight end there in George Kittle, who just signed the biggest contract in tight end history. But if Jordan Reed can stay healthy, I mean, obviously he has the familiarity of Kyle Shanahan's offense and his system. So if he can stay healthy and stay on the field, I mean, just another weapon for old Jimmy G to try to utilize.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I kind of liken Jordan Reed to another former Redskin, now Eagle, former Eagle, now Redskin, is Deshaun Jackson. It's one of those players that they're good for about one catch, then they get hit, and then they're gone for like 3 or 4 games. It's just like the story. I mean, like Deshaun Jackson, all he did last year was burn us in week 1. And then we never heard from him the rest of the year, And it's just like Jordan. I expect Jordan Reed to do that as well, have a good breakout game, and then it's just their bodies have taken, I don't know if they're just taking the beating or they're just whatever over these years, but so many concussions, especially with Jordan Reed with the concussions thing. I just hope that he's has a productive career and does not injure himself anymore.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if you know this, but this might have something to do with it. It never gets mentioned, but Jordan Reed actually played basketball. I know nobody knows that because they never talk about it on any broadcasts ever. So Jordan Reed used to be a basketball player, didn't play football at all. Or he did play a little bit of football, but played basketball too. Crazy.
The biggest unknown about Jordan Reed is that he was Aaron Hernandez's replacement there in Florida. So
that's a good point. Yeah, true. That's true. He did follow him up, didn't he?
He did follow him up. Did play with him for a while there. I think 1 or 2 seasons. So that's just some good Jordan Reed stuff to impress your friends at parties, as my friend would say.
You can always use some extra Jordan Reed facts to impress people at parties. That's one thing for sure. You can never have too many of those.
That is true.
Oh man, you got anything? So I mean, that's all I got. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention here, Joey, before we let people go?
Just to follow up a little bit what we talked about last week, I think we discussed the running back room and the Antonio Golden and Bryce Love battle. And it looks like Bryce Love is starting to slowly pull ahead. So
which I don't hate. I don't hate
at all because, like you said, he was such an explosion player out of Stanford, right? That's where he went, Stanford.
Yep.
And it came out of after McCaffrey, right? He was the next McCaffrey there. Not to say he's like McCaffrey, but who took his spot. And so that's exciting to hear because I was excited for him last year, and we never got any taste of it. So if we have a 1-2 punch with Adrian Peterson and Bryce Love, I am not going to be mad at our offense.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, shoot, even like I said, we talked last week. We could have a 1-2-3 punch, a 1-2 uppercut, with Love, Peterson, and Peyton
Barber.
Peyton Barber, yeah. But I was thinking more so. We just mentioned Antonio Gibson.
Golden.
You know what I mean? Or I get them mixed up. We got
I get the Antonios mixed. Golden. Golden's the wide receiver.
Antonio Gandy Golden is the wide receiver. Antonio Gibson's the running back.
There we go. Too many Antonios.
But I mean, I hope that if we do go with like a three-headed monster where it's mainly AP and then he gets a little relief from a couple of these other guys, because it looks like Bryce Love is going to be a great pass catching running back, so kind of that Chris Thompson that we've seen before, things like that. But I mean, I feel the one thing that I do feel really good about is our running game and our wide receivers. Now it's just up to Dwayne Haskins to be able to get the ball to them, and up to our offensive line to keep Dwayne Haskins upright and be able to block for our running backs.
What's kind of ironic. I really didn't think about it until just now.
I know what you're gonna say.
What am I gonna
Go
say?
for it.
Okay, I was gonna say, but Bryce Love again is almost in a Christian McCaffrey position. He's back into a Ron Rivera offense. He's gonna be used a lot like Christian McCaffrey. So that is a very exciting thing. We all know the years Christian McCaffrey has had in Carolina, and we know that Ron Rivera is not going to use, or Scott Turner, that's his name, right? Scott Turner is not going to use Adrian Peterson like Christian McCaffrey. Sure. So we definitely know that Bryce Love is probably ding, ding, ding hitting that spot. And so if he can at all even produce a fraction of what Christian McCaffrey produced on the field, we're in for some excitement.
Yeah, 100%. And I had that same thought. What I actually thought you were going to say is the ironic thing is it'd probably be better to have Alex Smith in there, be able to dump it off to our running backs a lot. But that's where I thought you were going to go, because that's what I was thinking. But I also had the same thought about Bryce Love being the pass catching back in a Scott Turner offense where we saw Christian McCaffrey do so well. Again, we're not trying to say that Bryce Love is going to be the next Christian McCaffrey, but he has that I don't know,
flexibility.
Edge, has that
flexibility,
that flexibility, that part of his game that he can definitely add. So no, I'm excited. I'm excited for our running backs for sure. Like I said, our wide receivers. Now it's just up to the other six guys, the five big boys and Dwayne Haskins to get the job done.
Exactly, and it'll be able to. The telling sign for Bryce Love to be if he can also run. Because if not, then every time he comes in there, they know they're passing it to him. You just throw somebody on. You throw a safety
Chris
on
Thompson.
Him. Yeah, a la Chris Thompson. Like all he ever got were those swing passes or those power sweeps, and so that you knew that he was not going. You automatically to the outside, and you could drop back into more of a zone type coverage or a man pressure type coverage, because he ain't gonna get no blocking. He's gonna get destroyed in the middle of that line. So hopefully he's shown some. I haven't heard as much about his running, so hopefully he shows that in practice as well.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, if it's anything like we saw at Stanford, he can definitely run the rock as well. But yeah. All right, but yeah, so I think that'll do it for us for this week. Make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that bell, hit the subscribe button there. If you're listening to us anywhere you get your podcasts, like, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. I forgot to do that the first 3 weeks. I'm getting new to this stuff.
Yes.
The whole selling and plugging. I gotta remember that. I gotta put that on the old memory agenda.
Yeah, so like us, turn on that notification bell, subscribe. Subscribe is most important. You'll get us every Thursday that we're shooting for, so we'll be able to give you all the Washington gossip and stuff, I guess.
What's funny is I feel like as soon as our video goes up, something happens. I'm pretty sure last Thursday is when we hired the president, wasn't it? And then
Alex Smith was that.
Oh, the Alex Smith, that's what it was. The Alex Smith. Yeah. And then the week before that, Thursday or Friday, was the Darius Geis news. It was like, man, as soon as these videos go up, something else happens. But that's all right. We'll bring it to you every Thursday. Maybe once the season starts, we'll start doing it. We might change it up a little bit, just so we can. We're not going till Thursday to review the weeks. Yeah, exactly.
And follow us on Twitter as well, guys. At Twitter, we can get updates throughout the week for some of the things we might have missed on this show. So follow us on Twitter. It's all the same, @AlliesBEL. It's easy. Right there across the bottom of the screen, you can see all three of our channels. So hit us up on those. Talk to us. We'd like to, hear some feedback.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we're looking for, some engagement. I mean, I'm hilarious on Twitter.
He is pretty hilarious. I loved but not to get into baseball, but I loved your talk about the whole Grand Slam thing on Twitter. Oh my God, that was just That we'll say that for a different show. That'll be our baseball show we do. And just so you don't freak out, at the very beginning of this show, I'm talking to you, Mr. Silva. From Mr. Silva, is that
Mr. Silva.
Our names were switched on the bottom. I switched them about halfway through, so it said
Sick.
Joey Silva. So just so you know, when you start watching this video, people, you saw that happen. He didn't see that happen, but you guys saw that happen. I had to switch it with a new overlay. Shout out to Jason McCullough for hooking us up with this overlay.
Yeah, shout out for sure.
And looking nice, trying to re-up and look official for you guys. So again, thanks for all your support.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he did all the graphics you see here, here on our Twitter, on our Facebook, everything. Dude killed it. So definitely hit him up because you can see the work he's done. He makes us look like we actually know what we're doing around here. But
Exactly.
but until next week, like I said, keep an eye out, rate, review, subscribe, go like us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. We'll have some good stuff coming in the as we get more news and notes and as we get closer to the season starting.
Oh man, sounds good. I'm excited.
All
Weeks
right.
away.
Yes, sir. Weeks. We're at the final countdown, baby. And if college doesn't play, then we might be seeing some Saturday games too. So you can't, you don't hate that. More football, more
I need to
NFL
know.
football, more Washington football.
I need to know soon, so I don't order the Sunday ticket if that happens. Because if they have Saturday games. Last year, I ordered the Sunday ticket, and they almost had every Washington game on TV last year. I don't know how it was in Dallas, but down here in Austin, it definitely had if the Cowboys were playing a primetime game, they play a lot of primetime. They always put Washington on. So
really, yeah, no, we didn't get those. We always got like the big, like we would get Kansas City, or we'd get on Fox.
Houston.
We get a lot of Eagles on Fox, or the Giants too. But yeah. But until next week, we're signing off. Your allies behind enemy lines. Y'all stay safe out there. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.